welcome to episode number 6 of Geek Speak with Envision IT, a podcast where business leaders and technology experts that like to stay on top of the latest security news and listen to interviews with insightful industry leaders. I'm Bill Crane, Chief Stakeholder Architect and CTO at Envision IT. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to introduce our guest today, Paul Carley. He's a Senior Product Marketing Manager for Citrix. And Paul, you specialize in the desktop and applications group?
Yeah, that's correct. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Great. So I think we want to talk about, in particular, the offering that Citrix has come out with. It's called Citrix Managed Desktop, or known as CMD. I guess could you tell us a little bit about Citrix Managed Desktops and I guess why Citrix decided to develop that with everything else you had already?
Yeah, thanks. We're excited about the service. We launched it in August here of 2019, and we're seeing a lot of growth. The reason we kind of did it was there's a lot of customers that have interest in virtualizing their apps and desktops for various reasons, right? As we know today, which is being able to deliver apps and desktops to any device, anywhere. We know that this is this is becoming a global workforce now. People don't always want to work in a traditional desk office. They need to be on the move. They need to get to their content and their applications and things they need to do on the go, as we like to say today. So we developed as you're very well familiar, we have a Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop service that is world renowned for delivering apps and desktops. But in the instances where some customers only needed a basic way to get started, they didn't need all the robustness that service can offer. They just needed a simpler way to deliver desktops and applications to their employees. Sometimes it might just be a simple one application. We have some customers doing it that way. So we developed Citrix Managed Desktops, which is somewhat of a desktops as a service type of application or solution. You may be familiar with desktops as a service. And in this case, what we're trying to do is simplify and make it the fastest and easiest way to deliver apps and desktops for an organization delivered to their employees in the simplest, fastest way to do that. And it's built for not only, a lot of people would say, oh, that's great for like small businesses, but I don't see that working for our business. But we're seeing a lot of applications from the smaller business on up to the big enterprise customers that are seeing different ways to incorporate this service, and they're seeing the benefits already. So we're very excited about this service that we rolled out. We're getting a lot of feedback and a lot of positive messaging from customers.
That's great. Yeah, I think initially when the product was announced, I think a lot of people did see that as a small business or maybe medium-sized business play, but whereas your big enterprises were probably maybe using Citrix already. Like you mentioned before, the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops, whether it's on-premise or via Citrix Cloud. So I guess that brings up a good question. I guess what are you guys seeing for good use cases for customers?
Several different types, whether it's the traditional, what you would call work from any device, anywhere, being able to leverage, companies being able to leverage Apple devices and Chromebooks and things where you traditionally had a big black desktop or a laptop that was, the traditional corporate one that you would hand out. This case, customers have the ability now that they can deliver their applications and desktops to a device that the employee is more comfortable with. Maybe that's, again, it could be an iOS device, it could be a tablet, whatever that traditional person would prefer to get that and do their work on. We have that capability, being able to do that with virtualization. But we're also seeing a lot of other opportunities as well that as we're having these conversations with customers, we're seeing. And I'll give you a few examples. First off and foremost, things like business continuity, being able to deliver, say you have as you guys are well aware of, you live in an environment where you get a lot of snow, and it's not easy for your employees, or it might not be safe for your employees to get to work. Having the capability to be able to spin up a desktop or an application and allow your workers to work from home during that period of time where the weather is not ideal, is that's a great way to keep your business up and running and give your employees the productivity they need while they're safely at home, and then spin them down and only pay for what you're using in that instance when they're able to come back to work. And we're seeing, as well as things like mergers and acquisitions, right? You're bringing on a new company, and one of the critical things for HR is being able to onboard or offboard those employees and having the capability of spinning up an application or a desktop and giving those new workers that are coming on board the capability of being able to walk right in and continue to be productive despite, all the changes that are going on, and being able to easily transition into a business. Those things are important, and they're critical to a successful merger or acquisition. And have the capability for IT to spin those desktops and applications up and provide them to a worker is great for being able to make that transition successful.
Yeah, the mergers is interesting. I guess, how does that work? Would you have to purchase the service for 1 or 3 years, or would a company that maybe knows they're only going to need this for 6 months, would that be an option for them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say companies today are seeing a lot of things like shift workers and temporary workers as well, on top of what you're mentioning. They can purchase this service or subscribe to the service on a month-to-month basis. We have a great new program that allows them they can go to the terms as they want. But the great thing that this service offers is we do what we call a no commit. So the customer could purchase them for whatever long period of time that they need it for. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's 6 months, and they basically will deploy their desktops and applications and utilize them. And then when the service is done, or the season, we also have a lot of seasonal workers. Where we're recording this, it's tax season coming up. I just had my taxes done, and being able to bring on some extra accountants, I'm sure, is important for attorneys, or for accountants, and having that capability to just utilize the service as needed. Then when it's that season of busyness is over, they can spin those down and only pay for what they're using. So things like that is very, it makes it very easy and convenient for customers, even if they're not sure they want to, start working using a cloud service. This is a great way to get started, where they can just, as we like to call, pay as you go. So we're seeing a lot of interest, and a lot of customers, just even if they want to just try it out, they're seeing this is a great way to go and get their, kind of dip their toe in the cloud, as we like to say.
Yeah, that's great. And I assume, I would imagine a customer would maybe have success and just maybe decide just to keep that, or continue maybe some of their use cases just to use CMD.
Yeah, and I think if some customers that have an on-prem service or an on-prem solution already that they're happy with, but they need that temporary workforce, maybe they're bringing in some contractors, or they have maybe some they're doing something overseas where they need to provide their a vendor or a developer just a simple desktop or a simple application. They can use this service, pay for it as they go, and then as they don't need it anymore, they can shut it down. So we're seeing a lot of customers looking at that as well as a great solution, without having to add costs to bringing in more equipment and more hardware for a temporary setting.
Right, exactly. So I think we all know that Citrix certainly was one of the leaders in virtual desktops, years and years ago. But maybe, customers didn't think of Citrix as a desktop as a service type customer. And I know there are, many different other options out there. I guess what makes this offering a little bit different than those?
Yeah, we actually are built with Microsoft in mind. We've worked hand in hand closely with Microsoft. We have a 30-year partnership with them. So we were able to build this service from the ground up. Directly with leveraging Azure, leveraging the new Windows Virtual Desktop service from Microsoft to kind of make this a cutting edge solution. And where it differs also as well is things like our HDX technology, as you're, I'm sure, very familiar with, as being a great partner that you are with Citrix, and we appreciate your partnership. Things like HDX, which gives you that high definition experience that you would get that's unmatched from any other service. And what that means for a customer's perspective is they get the capability that every time they log on, their users are going to have a great experience. They're going to be able to be productive, whether it's video conferencing or any kind of high-end services that require a great connection and a great service, they're going to get that from Citrix directly. And then again, because this is built with Microsoft together, you get a lot of leveraging things that you wouldn't from other services, including being able to support Teams, being able to support Office, being able to utilize things like Windows 10 in the cloud, as well as in some cases we have customers that still need to leverage Windows 7 for maybe a legacy application or otherwise. Maybe support them an older browser. They have that capability with the service now, so it's going to give them flexibility on top of that simplicity that they're getting with our services today. So we feel like it's a great combination of different services that deliver that customer a great experience each and every time.
Yeah, that's great. I think we've seen for the longest time that while Microsoft maybe has some of these underlying technologies, it is a challenge to kind of deploy and manage those solutions on their own. And that is where Citrix has always come in and made it easier to manage, and then also just really enhance the user experience as well.
Yeah, and we were looking to, and that's why we're one of the leaders in virtualization for these many years, is not only our partnership with Microsoft and our closeness and our being able to do day one support for all these great technologies that Microsoft continues to roll out here daily to make the user and the organization have a great experience and be productive. But Citrix adds that extra level between not just the HDX experience, but also the simplification of being able to manage and deploy apps and desktops from a simplified console. I can't tell you, I'm not a super technical person, but when I first utilized this service and I was able to log in and they showed me, here's the console and here's how you manage things, even I could do it. And it would seem very simple for me to be able to deploy it. So we don't, in this service, we don't require that you have to be super technical in order to be able to get started and deploy those apps and desktops in a simple manner. So it's we feel like we've done a great job here with this service, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, great. So I guess speaking of the management, how does that work for customers that they're trying it out for the first time? And I'd imagine there's maybe an image provided by yourself or Microsoft that's pretty clean and vanilla, not much for apps there. How does that process work as far as getting your own applications or setting up your image?
Yeah, that's one thing that we did was when we went to working on it and developing this service, we're like, it has to be simple, it has to be easy, it has to be something that anybody who's got a minimum level of technical knowledge should be able to walk right in and be able to get started in a matter of minutes, not hours and days where you would be deploying this big, heavy service. So what we've done is made it simple for you to, even on the front page of the service when you subscribe to it, we give you the simplest way to deploy by simply choosing what kind of desktop you're interested in, how many you need, where you want those desktops to be located, and basically you click go, and within a matter of minutes you set up your first catalog and you're ready to go. And it makes it simple for you to deploy those desktops, and being able to you can simply if you have services already like an Active Directory where you have a location where you have content of your customer or your employees, you can link to that directly, or by simply just having an email address, you have the capability of deploying that and giving that person access to a simplified desktop almost instantaneously. And as you mentioned, we offer, because this is a managed service, we provide a managed image that is a nice, robust Windows 10 image that's available right within the console. When you go to create these accounts, you can specify whether or not you want that to be your image that we like to call our golden image, to be able to deploy that. Or we give the capability, because we're trying to be flexible as well, if the customer already has an image, or if a great partner like yourselves are able to, would like to help the customer have a customized image that can be created and brought in to the service, very easily imported into the service. and deployed, and it can get granular. So if you say, I just want these X number of customers or these X number of employees to get a simple desktop, but I want maybe my engineering group to get a more robust desktop with some unique access to some apps that I have. We make it very simple from a web-based console to be able to just go in through a few clicks and be able to deploy that and manage those from one easy console.
That's great. Yeah, my mind always wanders to all the different use cases. And early on, you did mention too, disaster recovery. So I could imagine, you can kind of take that perfect golden image you have, and again, maybe you're using that on premise, but I guess there'd be nothing to stop you from uploading that into this service, and then, a disaster strikes, you can just, spin up that familiar image.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Having it almost like a disaster recovery in a sense where you have a copy of that handy and imported into the service, and you can deploy that on the moment's notice and keep your workers up and running. So it is something definitely for consideration for people to utilize as a service.
Yeah, and something else, it's really unique to this service is you do have the option of certainly domain joining those machines, and that's probably pretty normal. But you guys do also have the option to not even do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly one of the great things that offers unique over other devices. Desktops as a service type of applications. Being able to, if by simply having a non-domain join, and what that basically means is I don't need to have a active directory in order to provide access to a desktop or application. All I simply need to do is have an email address. I punch that into the service, and I can immediately deploy to that person an email that says, here's your link to where you go to, and here's your login information. You go there, and you can do single sign-on, and you're going right into our Workspace experience, being able to pull up that app immediately. So without having to maintain a separate Active Directory service, you can now do that through this non-domain join type of feature.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you did mention your Workspace. So the Workspace, is that your kind of your entry into the virtual desktop then?
Yeah, actually, yes, that's correct. If the customer or if the service wants to deploy a desktop, or they want to just put apps, they can use this great location where customers can log in through a single sign-on. They have access to, maybe they don't need a desktop, maybe they just need some apps. They can go ahead and do all that through an interface that they can pull up. And the great thing about that interface is it's compatible on any device. As we mentioned before, having the capability that I can be on a Chromebook, something, cost-effective type of device where I could have access to my content through there, or through a desktop, or through even a Raspberry Pi, or through, through a more, whether it's an iOS or Windows 10, whatever that device is that the customer feels comfortable with that they can do. Now they have that capability because that Workspace application, they can do that and get to those apps and desktops and have that experience that they prefer. That's
great. I guess one thing I'm curious about is the, so the name itself, Citrix Managed Desktop. Maybe you can explain a little bit what parts does Citrix manage, and then what parts do either the customer or someone like a partner like us, where does the different management fall for that?
Yeah, and I appreciate that. It's the customer can choose what level of management that they want. If they want to utilize the service, it's ideal for somebody who only has some, that has some simpler needs where they're either starting out or they just want to deliver a simple app and desktop. Citrix will actually manage and provide them with a golden image of that Windows 10 service for them. They just need to bring a license to that. Then they can they import the license. They can go ahead and just spin up those desktops, or if they wanted just an application, they can import that as well. If you have a customer that says, I'm really not interested in doing that, I would rather have somebody do the complete management for us, we recommend somebody like a great partner like yourselves to be able to, they can have your partnership be able to manage that on their behalf if there's something that they want to do it in that capacity. again, but if they need something even more robust, that their business is growing, they have a lot of, they want to use things like analytics or other pieces where they can get more granular on their security connections and things like that. We can move them into something, our Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop service, which gives them not only the ability to deliver from the cloud, but also from on-prem. If they have both, they can do hybrid, which we call hybrid, which gives them the capability that they can manage on-prem and in the cloud, both at the same time as resource locations. So, and again, a partner could leverage that as well to deliver whatever application they want or desktop on behalf of the customer. So again, we're trying to be flexible. That's why we're offering several different solutions to make sure that a customer, we can meet them where they are in their journey to the cloud or their journey to the workspace, whether that's something simple or something more complex. We want to make sure that that customer gets what they want and what they need to do it at whatever stage that they're in their business journey.
Yeah, I think that's pretty exciting. When CMD was first released, you guys started out kind of limited with that, right? It was kind of one offering. It was pretty well set, but as you guys took feedback from customers and partners, I mean, it's very different than it was a year ago. You can tell that Citrix has listened and said, we're going to try to make this work in every scenario, including like that hybrid scenario you mentioned. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and again, we do listen to our partners and our customers a lot. That's what continues to make our business successful, is knowing what they need and what a customer needs at what time. So, like as you mentioned, when we first rolled out the service, we had managed all your services were managed or run through Citrix itself, and we said, hey, wouldn't it be great? And customers came to us and say, hey, I would love that, but I would love to bring my own Azure account because maybe I have credits with them, or I prefer to use that for other enhancements that I can get with my Azure account. How about if I just be able to bring my Azure account and be able to leverage that? So what we did was we made the capability of the service to be able to plug in your Azure service directly into as a subscription through a manner of some simple clicks. And now you're able to leverage your Azure and your applications sit in your Azure environment. If it's not something that they want to do, they say, hey, I don't want to deal with the Azure piece of it. I just want to be able to deliver apps and desktops. You can use Citrix Managed version of Azure, where you just utilize the service and we just bill you for whatever services that you did utilize as we go. So definitely flexibility. We like to listen to our partners. We like to listen to our customers. We think it's important. That makes us successful. That's been our ploy, or it's been our way we do things for 30 plus years. I don't think we'll change that. And again, it's because we want to make the customer happy.
That's great. Well, I learned a lot today, and I think our customers have too. I guess so. Thank you, Paul, for joining. And then I guess, maybe to wrap up, is there any other last thoughts you have, or anywhere to point customers to learn more?
Yeah, and again, I appreciate you having me on today. And again, this service can be leveraged from great partners like yourselves. And if you want to find out more information, feel free to go to citrix.com/DAAS, DAAS. We have some great information on there. We even have an interactive journey that you can try out the service and see what it's like. We do offer some trials on that, so feel free to contact your local partner here, and we'll be happy to work with you to see if this service is right for you. So, but again, thank you so much for having me on. It's been great, and really appreciate your time.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Paul. We really appreciate the partnership as well. So thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
If you have questions or any future topics you'd like us to cover, please be sure to connect with us via the link in the show notes. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe for free on whatever platform you listen to your podcast. We'll see you next time on Geek Speak with Envision IT.